Pay up. The message from state regulators to SDG&E, the final vote blocking the utility from raising rates to cover damages from the 2007 wildfires.
The fence is like, I guess you could say, to the environment, to Mother Nature. It's a joke. Nothing's going to stop the water.
On a mission to protect the South Bay environment, meet the surfer fighting to save the waters along the border.
San Diego State is one of the great universities in this country. We're landlocked. We can't get any bigger and we can't get any better.
Dreaming up a bigger, better play for the Aztecs, the game plan to transform Mission Valley. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. San Diego Gas and Electric customers avoided a $379 million bill today. KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma says California regulators have unanimously opposed SDG&E's pitch to bill ratepayers for costs related to the 2007 wildfires.
In casting their votes against customer reimbursement for SDG&E, utility regulators cited an August decision by two administrative law judges. The judges ruled that SDG&E did not reasonably manage its facilities before the 2007 fires, which killed 2 people and destroyed 1,300 homes. California Public Utilities Commissioner Carla Peterson praised the judges before her vote.
I'm also appreciative of the additional detail the judges provided in the revisions to the proposed decision, which I think serve to further substantiate the original findings that San Diego Gas and Electric failed to meet its burden to prove it was a prudent manager in the lead up to all 3 fires.
A state inquiry found that SDG&E's lines ignited the 2007 fires. Investigators said at the time that the company did not properly design, build, and maintain its equipment. Although CPUC President Michael Picker also voted to deny the company's request to charge customers, he said SDG&E's argument that the winds at the time of the blazes were severe and unprecedented had merit.
Despite these concerns that we have trying to put ourselves into the shoes of somebody on the ground at the time of the fire, we have to defer to the conclusion of the ALJs because as finders of fact in this proceeding, they're much more well situated to make these factual determinations than we are.
SDG&E said in a statement that the CPUC got it wrong, adding that the utility will pursue, quote, all available avenues to overturn the decision. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
This case and others like it could lead to a new state law. A state senator from the Bay Area says he's working on a bill that would prevent utility companies found responsible in wildfires from passing cost along to customers. The man who wants to be the next sheriff of San Diego County is accusing his boss of workplace retaliation. That boss is the current Sheriff Bill Gore. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has the story.
Dave Myers is in something of an awkward position. He's a commander and 32-year veteran of the Sheriff's Department, but he's also running for sheriff next year, hoping to unseat his boss, Sheriff Bill Gore. That means campaigning, publicly criticizing his own boss and how he runs the department. In August, Myers got a letter telling him he was being reassigned, stripped of his regular responsibilities, and that his desk was being relocated to what he says is a former closet. The letter puts tight restrictions on the hours Myers can work, where he can work, and what he can say. It concludes, quote, the reassignment is not intended to be a punitive action, and it is based on the department's best interests. Myers says it's political retaliation for his candidacy.
And it only came about as a result of my campaigning and talking about issues in the community and why I'm running for sheriff.
A Sheriff's Department spokesman said the reassignment was not retaliation. Gore and Myers are the only candidates in the race, meaning it will almost certainly be decided next June. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Late this afternoon, a not guilty verdict in a murder case in San Francisco that sparked a national debate on immigration. The jury has acquitted Jose Enes Garcia Zarate. He had been deported 5 times and was wanted by immigration authorities when Katie Steinle was killed on the San Francisco Embarcadero in 2015. Garcia Zarate said the shooting was an accident. President Trump has often invoked Steinle's case in his criticisms of sanctuary cities. Another development in the campaign fraud case connected to a Mexican business mogul. San Diego lobbyist Polo Cortez admitted to conspiring to make illegal campaign contributions in connection with a congressional election. He pleaded guilty in federal court yesterday. He said he arranged a meeting between a congressman and Jose Azano Matsura, his co-defendant in the case. Azano later contributed $30,000 to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee for the lawmaker. By law, he can't do that because he's a foreign national. Cortez faces 3 years in prison and up to $300,000 in fines. We follow the money and all the characters connected to this case in our investigation. You can find that at kpbs.org/dirty money. Women and men may have a new safe place to report sexual harassment complaints at the state capitol. Women who testified at a 6-hour hearing this week say the current process is insufficient. They also say it's hostile to victims. State lawmakers are pushing to establish a confidential hotline for reporting incidents and tracking them. It's part of a campaign to overhaul sexual harassment policies in the legislature.
I think a hotline would help, but mostly these complaints need to be taken seriously. They need to be seriously investigated, not by in-house, but outside, independent investigations with full disclosure of the outcomes, and it shouldn't be covered up anymore.
The Senate has appointed a panel that has been tasked with hiring an outside firm to investigate allegations of harassment. Flu season in San Diego County is off to an aggressive start. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy says health officials expect the virus to become even more widespread in the weeks to come.
The number of flu cases confirmed in San Diego County is more than 3 times higher than it was at this time last year. 4 people have died, and nearly 700 people have tested positive for the virus. And the peak of flu season is not expected until January or February. Dr. Seyon Theololi-Pavan is County Deputy Public Health Officer. He says people who have not yet gotten their flu vaccine should get it now. He says this year's strain is not like the H1N1 pandemic that hit in 2009, but it can be dangerous, especially to young children and seniors.
Nothing is unusual or atypical. The one that's affecting the most people is a strain that's A strain, but there are some of the B strains that are also in circulation. We don't see or have any evidence, or the CDC is not saying that these strains are more severe per se.
Flu symptoms include fever, cough, sore throat, runny nose, and fatigue. People suffering severe symptoms or have underlying conditions should seek medical attention. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
San Diego state officials unveiled their vision for a new football stadium for the Aztecs today. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says the $250 million facility would sit in the northwest corner of the Mission Valley site.
The open-ended stadium would seat 35,000 fans. From the north, a campanile clock tower peeks over the southern edge of the architect's stadium rendering. The stadium would be home to the Aztec football team, but field design is flexible. Architects say it could host soccer, music concerts, tractor pulls, or motorcycle races. The first item is most important to Aztec football coach Rocky Long.
San Diego State is one of the great universities in this country. We're landlocked. We can't get any bigger and we can't get any better. This gives us a chance to get bigger and better along the way. And in the process, the community of San Diego benefits dramatically.
The project relies on voters approving an initiative that is yet to qualify for the ballot. Friends of SDSU is hoping to have the measure in front of voters next November in direct competition with the Soccer City initiative, which has qualified. The Aztecs need a home because their lease for SDCCU Stadium expires next year. Athletic Director John David Wicker says there's an urgency to settle where the Aztecs will play.
We'll move, full ahead into designing a stadium, which takes about 12 months, and then into construction that's roughly 20 to 24 months. So you're talking about 3 years from the time the ballot initiative passes and we can get a contract with the city on the property.
If voters approve the plan, San Diego State University wants to build their stadium in this corner of the parking lot. The football team, meanwhile, would continue to play its games in SDCCU Stadium until their new facility is built. In Mission Valley, Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
In order to qualify for next year's ballot, Friends of SDSU need to collect 71,000 signatures from San Diego residents by the end of this month. The U.S. Senate is closer to voting on a Republican plan to overhaul the nation's tax policy. Debate began this afternoon, and a full vote is expected tonight or tomorrow. Some of the sticking points include a provision to repeal the tax penalty for those who don't have health insurance. Some Republican senators also question a trigger mechanism to either raise taxes or cut spending if economic growth slows. No Democrats are expected to support the bill. Republicans need 50 votes to move the bill forward.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the battle over the tax overhaul comes to a head as the Senate prepares to vote. That's coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Life just got a little easier for travelers at the San Ysidro Transit Center. A judge finalized an order this week for the Metropolitan Transit System to unblock a doorway long used by travelers. That happened yesterday. MTS had put up a gate to close the doorway after getting into a dispute with the owner of the McDonald's building. The barrier posed a hassle for seniors and the disabled, who had to then take a longer route to and from the center's bus terminal. South Bay residents are fighting a battle on the border that has nothing to do with immigration or smuggling. Instead, they're focused on pollution. KPBS Frontiers reporter Jean Guerrero has a story of a woman's effort to protect the waters along the border.
I love the ocean. Like, if I could, I'd spend all day in the water. That's one of the main reasons I moved to Imperial Beach. Honestly, it's one of the best waves in all of San Diego County. It really is. If you like a strong, powerful wave that has good shape and is consistent, this is where it's at. I originally was raised in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It's the tropics, so for me, anytime it rained, it was just rainwater. It was muddy, brown water, but it was rainwater, so it was fine. So when I moved here, I had the same assumption. And I didn't realize that sometimes when I went out in brown water, that was sewage water. So in the summer, you have currents from south to north, especially when there's south to north swells. So a lot of that contamination, even though it's diluted by the time it gets here, it may not have a discoloration or even an odor, but it could definitely have pathogens in them. Studies have shown that Tijuana River contaminated waters have a 10% chance of having hepatitis A in those waters. And that's just one example of the many pathogens that can be found in these polluted waters. Other impacts can be, infections of the skin, gastrointestinal infections, eye infections, ear infections. I started helping out and doing beach cleanups, and we started a citizens group, and I got a lot of experience doing advocacy up in Sacramento and trying to get our elected officials to pay attention to this issue. That's how I became involved with Wild Coast. At the end of the watershed, we have the beautiful ecological resource, which is the Tijuana Estuary. It's federally protected. It's home to over 300 bird species. Serves as a nursery habitat for important commercially significant fish. And I can go on and on forever. It's a beautiful resource. I think both countries' responsibility to protect. The environment knows no borders, and just because we decide to put that line in the middle of it doesn't mean that wildlife and ecology are gonna also separate. Look what I found. A zucchini. along with the sewage. You get human waste, obviously, and seeds that come out of that germinate all throughout the valley, and the conditions are pretty good for produce. So yeah, zucchini. Whatever infrastructure we do have in Tijuana is aging, and on a very frequent basis collapse, like these pipelines collapse and cause these massive sewage spills. You have two states, right? Two countries trying to address the issue in their own way and within their own judicial and legislative systems. Technically, you can't have a country telling another country what to do. You can have soft treaties or agreements that two countries can agree to, but there's no real binding power behind it, in the sense that if they decide not to do it, you can't take them to court. It's really interesting because we have a line, a man-made line that we decided to put in place to separate both countries. The fence is like, I guess you could say, to the environment, to Mother Nature, it's a joke. Nothing's gonna stop the water.
Starting today, Apple is teaming up with Stanford Health Medicine for Apple Heart, a study to better detect irregular heartbeats. To take part, you'll need an Apple Watch. Participants will get a notification if suffering from atrial fibrillation, or AFib. Stanford Medical says AFib is the leading cause of stroke and is responsible for approximately 130,000 deaths in the U.S. every year. And since many people don't experience symptoms, it often goes undiagnosed. The Apple Heart Study app is available in the App Store to customers who are 22 years or older. A different kind of tech is being used to unlock the mysteries of an ancient Egyptian Roman mummy. Tracy Brown shows us how it works and what scientists hope to learn.
Just who and what lies behind this Roman-style portrait embedded in an 1800-year-old mummy. Even though the face looks older, the ancient linen-wrapped remains are believed to be of a young girl, probably about 5 years old, unearthed in Egypt in 1911.
The skeleton is very intact. We don't see any obvious deformities. And what we're doing is now looking for the nanosignature in the bones to see if there's anything unusual.
The Hibbard mummy has become what the Argonne National Laboratory says is the first to be subjected to high-energy penetrating X-ray beams from the advanced photon source synchrotron. The kilometre-round machine, which is used in medical research, allows for the study of molecules and atoms.
It's like we have a laser pointer beam of X-rays, and we're moving the mummy across from side to side and up and down. We will go to specific positions within the mummy, shine the X-ray beam through, and then we will look at the scattering that comes off.
In preparation for the experiment, scientists had the Hibbard mummy put through a series of CT scans, refining what areas of the body to examine. During 15 hours of study Monday, scientists delved into the mummy's molecular composition.
We're hoping to find information about the bone structure, the nanostructure of the material. We're hoping to find clues as to how the Egyptians of that era preserved the body.
While hoping to confirm suspicions that the young girl died of disease, researcher Stuart Stock also wants to determine if using this type of X-ray will be key to investigating other mummies. Stock says preliminary results have isolated some materials found inside the remains. Block Museum of Art curator Essie Ronco first saw this mummy in a Northwestern University library while researching an upcoming exhibit of the rare Roman-styled mummy portraits. That opened up an unusual opportunity to study the ancient artifact.
So we have students from archaeology, from history, from material sciences and computer science working on this mummy and approaching it from different perspectives and using their tools to ask questions of this mummy and interpret it for the general audience.
Student research on the Hibbard mummy, along with results from the X-ray experiments, will be included in the Block Museum of Art's January exhibit. Tracy Brown, Associated Press.
A winter tradition glides back to Liberty Station. The Rady's Children's Ice Rink is open every day. Adults and kids can show off their moves at the outdoor rink next to the Lot movie theater. All ticket sales help the Peckham Center for Cancer and Blood Disorders at Rady's Children's. Now, don't put away those skates just yet. The warm weather is here to stay for now. Brittany Boyer has tonight's forecast.
As we look at some of our weather headlines, we have a pleasant day on the way for Friday. The rainfall stays to our north, but we are going to have a pretty potent system coming in by the weekend. And that system, although we're not looking at rain from it, it is going to cool off our temperatures. Here's a look at the radar and satellite. Last several hours, we've had a lot of high-level clouds today, but despite that, temperatures have still been trending a couple degrees above normal for this time of the year. So overnight tonight, increasing clouds, mostly cloudy, an overnight low of 56 degrees. We look outside of San Diego, Alpine 48 degrees tonight, 47 out there in Ramona and Oceanside, a low of 46 degrees for tonight. So pretty quiet for this evening. Looking at the setup for our Friday, we'll call it tranquil, dry, and also mild. We have this nice area of high pressure out toward the Four Corners, so that's going to keep the weather pretty nice as we get ready to wrap up the work week. Temperatures for tomorrow, keep in mind we should be in the upper 60s for this time of the year, at least here in San Diego. A high of 70 tomorrow, 76 in Ramona, Mount Laguna. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 50s. Lots of sunshine, but keep in mind these temperatures are going to start to cool off. Now, here's the next system that arrives this weekend. It's going to be more of an issue out toward the Sierra Nevada, also up toward the Cascades, but the system that pushes through is also going to be pushing in some cooler air as well. So we'll start to cool things off early next week. We will see some breezy conditions at times. So for the coast, you'll notice by Sunday, high temperatures in the upper 60s. We keep it sunny and dry, so if you still have to put up the holiday decorations this weekend, you're in good shape. Inland, temperatures also going to be lowering as we head into early next week, down into the low 70s for Monday and also into Tuesday. For the mountains, this is where we're really going to start to see the temperatures dropping off. By the time we get into Sunday, highs are in the 50s, low 50s on Monday, and with that cold front, expect the winds to pick up on Monday, so it could be difficult while traveling, especially if you run into a crosswind situation. And in the desert, we will see the cool down early next week with highs in the low 70s, but overall, next couple of days, it's nice and sunny. For KPBS, a meteorologist, Brittany Boyer.
The actor, best known for his role as Gomer Pyle on The Andy Griffith Show, has passed away. Jim Nabors was also known for his baritone voice as a singer. His husband says he passed away peacefully in their home in Hawaii and that his health declined in the past year. The Gomer Pyle character was so successful it was given its own spin-off in 1964. In later years, Nabors was a regular on the Carol Burnett Show. Jim Nabors was 87 years old. One of the hottest groups on the Billboard charts does not have any plans of going on tour. They didn't need a recording studio for their album. AP reporter Mike Householder introduces us to a real-life sister act.
For the Dominican Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, it's all about teamwork. Whether it's on the soccer field or inside their Michigan convent.
It's a simple life. We are away from all the pressures of the world, so it's very unique that we have this beautiful place to come and pray and to live and to enjoy each other.
That perfect harmony also comes through in their music. The Nuns' new Christmas CD hit #1 on Billboard's classical chart. They may be sisters, but this is no act.
We're not doing it for personal glory or for the glory of the community. It's not about us. It's about Him.
For them, the music is a gift to God, but also to people who can't see the sisters perform live. They don't tour, and only on rare occasions do they sing in public.
That's how we get to people's homes and are able to
help them too, because they come into our own home, our chapel, our mother house here, through our music.
The Christmas album is their third, all recorded in the chapel.
You can listen to all the layers of the sisters singing, you know, and that's what makes it so beautiful. That's what makes the CD so beautiful too, was being able to be taped there in the room.
2 of those albums topped the classical chart. Success that the group's music director, Sister Joseph Andrew Bogdanowicz, says comes from a higher power.
We trust that God's going to use it the way He wants to. So when it does have success, we're like, yay, go God, you know.
And success seems to follow the sisters wherever they go. Mike Householder, Associated Press, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
We now know what to call 2 adorable new additions to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Meet Mocha and Recon. These are the winning names after 11,000 Facebook votes. Mocha means chance. Authorities rescued the 4-month-old Bengal tiger last August. They say a man was trying to smuggle him through the Otay Mesa port of entry. While 5-month-old Recon comes from the Smithsonian National Zoo, where caretakers say his mother rejected him. His name means friends. The 2 can be seen at the park's Family Tiger Trail. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.